Hi everyone and welcome to the FilmDirt Lounge, where I've just been watching Vice, an American political drama from 2018 starring Christian Bale as Dick Cheney, who was Vice President during George W. Bush's tenure as President. Now, I'm quite intrigued by political dramas, satires in general, because it amuses me with probably how much they can possibly get away with, because we're never quite sure how accurate the information is and whether the real people depicted in the drama actually have a final cut of the project or script. And this film is a curious one. I feel it is more satire than a drama, and it's filmed in a quite a strange way where there is a comedic tone to it. And from what I gathered, doesn't really paint the main characters in a very good light. Like at various points during the film, there's images of fishing and fishing flies. So I'm just wondering, is Dick Cheney basically fishing to advance up the political ladder? Maybe he feels that he has got the intellectual beating of George W. Bush, who at the time was quite a young man, quite a young candidate for the presidency. So there was that age gap. And they do highlight here that Cheney was head of a large corporation. I think it was Halliburton, wasn't it? Which should have really conflicted with his political ideals, but they seem to be overlooked, or they're able to work with it into the dual role that he would have. I felt he was portrayed as a very driven man and quite respectable, but overall I'm not sure the real Dick Cheney really appreciated what they put to screen here. I don't think there's been any major fallouts or vocal demonstrations from the family, so who knows. And I thought all the players here, I think they're all fantastic in their roles, some under more heavy makeup than others maybe. I thought Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld, he doesn't much look like Rumsfeld, but the character was there. Tyler Perry as Colin Powell. Now, from my recollection during that period, Colin Powell was the voice of reason and intellect, and we've got a comic actor here in that role, but I thought it did come across reasonably well. Sam Rockwell I thought was amazing as George W. and quite understated. Some good mannerisms that we've all come to recognise George Bush with. And also Amy Adams as Dick Cheney's wife, fantastic again, very stable. I think she's always great in whatever she does. Now, I do remember this time period, wasn't George W. Bush mocked in the American media at the time for being maybe unintelligent from what they really wanted? His predecessor, Clinton, always came across as a very intelligent man. But George, maybe he had his own, what they call Bushisms, where he would make up words that kind of sounded intelligent, but not quite understanding the meaning. He almost got there like 80% of the time. But during the Iraq War, I felt he conducted himself very respectfully. There's that famous imagery of him in the school classroom listening to kids read books, and he remained calm. And I remember portions of the media were saying he was undriven and dithering at that point because he sat there and did nothing, but I thought that was the right response personally. He didn't want to panic anyone, jump up out of his chair and dance around and start shouting at his security to do this and that. You're startling the kids, you're startling the public. He could remain seated and there'll be other people doing what needs to be doing. And I think he has got quite a lot more respect, hasn't he? Considering what they've had since and what they have now. And for me, less is known about Dick Cheney. I'm presuming he retired happily. And again, I'm not 100% certain that he was painted in a very good light by this film. And that brings me on to possibly the few negatives where it is a bit too much in a satire format than I would have liked. I probably would have wanted a bit more of a political drama, just to cover what we saw from the media and what was portrayed at the time. I'm aware there's an Oliver Stone movie in a similar vein called W. I haven't seen it, but I guess that Vice is possibly a very different format to that movie. And there are a few obvious comedic choices made here. And also the narrator is a wounded Iraq veteran, and not quite sure how relevant that way of portraying him was. I mean, clearly he was there to donate his working heart, but the way it was put to film I thought was just a little bit odd. And possibly the whole film is a metaphor for what happened. Very strange. I was scratching my head really. And there was also the hint of an end credit scene in the middle of the film where everything ends there and it's all happy and glorious. And no, we carry on to the real meat of the story, the Iraq War, the advancement politically of Dick Cheney, the progress his family had to make when, the revelations of certain family members, i.e. his daughter being gay, and how that plays into George W.'s political ideals. That's portrayed quite well, again in a comedic tone, and I don't know what to make of it. Maybe this film just isn't for me. Maybe it's the lack of intensity. We're just getting to the surface of the subject and nothing really stands out. So let's give it a score. I've got to give it 2 stars. I guess I wanted more from this film, to go deeper and to actually be more of a dramatic take on the subject. And at some point next, I should really take a look at W, and I'll aim to bring a review to this channel soon. So thanks for listening to my thoughts on the film. Let me know down below if you agreed or disagreed with what I found, and also like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Speak to you again soon for another film chat. It was good talking to you. All the best and take care.